What is up, guys? The Casey's here, and today we're going to be diving in a little bit deeper into UI testing. And to get started, I'm going to be showing you guys what app we're working on and what we're going to be testing. Basically, in this game, you tap the pineapple button if the image is a pineapple, and the knob button if the image is not a pineapple. And if this wasn't working properly, you might tap the pineapple button and there was not a pineapple on the screen. So we're going to write a test to make sure that every time we tap the knob button, the image is not a pineapple, and every time we tap the pineapple button, the image is a pineapple. So let's jump into Xcode. And up here at the top, you can see this little test navigator. And we've created a test here already. If you haven't created one, you can jump down here to the bottom, click the little plus button, and click New UITest Target. And then you can name that whatever you want, click Finish. Or if you do have a test target and you want to create a new test class, you can also do that down here. But we already have one created. And I just want to walk you guys through the code here. We talked about the XUI application. This is like your app. And here we can see in our code that we have a variable for app XUI application, and in our setup method, we're setting that value. We're also just throwing in some launch arguments. We don't need that there. And then continue after failure equals false. So if our test fails, it's going to continue on the test to see if there's anything else that's messed up. If we set that to true, it's just going to fail and exit out of the code. But down here you can see our first test is test to make sure that the game actually works. We have a for loop here, and we're going to run this 20 times. We're going to look on the app, we're going to query the elements for a pineapple image view, and we're going to see whether that pineapple image view exists. And if it does, we're going to tap the pineapple button down at the bottom of the screen. But if it's not a pineapple image, we're going to tap the not button. And then after that, we're going to assert that the game over label exists, or the game over label doesn't exist, because this is how our game is supposed to work. If you were to tap the not button when there's a pineapple image there, the game over button should appear. So our game would be working properly if the game over label wasn't there. And then just to show you guys how this runs, I'm going to press the little play button right here and say start a test that you've written. And if you didn't know, when you're writing a test, you have to start with the test keyword, or the function isn't a test. If I were to remove the test before the game actually works, it's just a normal function. So I'm not tapping anything. The test is running through and tapping the button based off the image. And if it fails, then we'll get an error, but it shouldn't, because our game's working properly. Sweet. So do that 20 times, and boom, it succeeded. We're gonna create a test to make sure that when you tap the knob button and there's a pineapple image, the game's over. So I have the function down here, but let's just get that off the screen. So when you want to create a test, you create a function, name it test, game over. And we just want to run through a for loop, because that's the easiest way to replicate something many times in this app. We'll just do it 10 times for time's sake. So just to show you guys a cool tool, I'm going to show you guys this cool thing where you can record your UI test. So down here at the bottom, you can tap this red record button, and it's going to start up our application. I just downloaded the app, and it's going to be recording what we do on our app. So we're testing to make sure the game's over. So this is not a pineapple, so we're going to test pineapple. Now the game over label should appear, and the restart button should appear. So if we were to tap the game over label, now you can see in the background, this is automatically recording our actions. So you know which elements are being interacted with. If you tap the restart button, we go back, it says app.buttons, restart, tap. We can do the same thing again, no. If this is But as you guys can see, it's just recording what we're doing in the background. This is a really cool feature if you're new to UI testing and you're having trouble finding the query to an element or figuring out what to do. Just use that record feature. It works very well almost all the time, unless you're in a really complex app, which I'm sure most of you guys aren't. But we don't really need this stuff because I've already done this and I've stored those in variables up here. And when we call these variables, we'll be doing the same exact thing as if we were calling app.static text game over, and it's just in a nice variable so I don't have to recreate those elements in all of my different tests. So if you need to find those, that's how you do that. But we want to see if the not-image view exists. Oh, if statement. If the not-image view exists, then we're going to tap the pineapple button because we're going to make sure that the game is over. Else pineapple button. Oh no. And if the pineapple image is in existence, we want to tap the nah button so it fails as well. Nah button tap. Sweet. And after we've done this, the game over label should appear, and we're going to want to tap that restart button so that we can continue on with our test. So let's assert that the game over label exists, and then let's tap that restart button. Sweet. So if we run this test, it should pass. If the image view exists, if we tap the pineapple button, it should be game over. The game over label is going to exist, and then we're going to tap that restart button so that we get to the same place as we started, and we can tap the nah button or the pineapple button again and repeat that step 10 times. So let's jump over here to our test. So game over label appears, game over label appears. The test looks like it's working because it is working. So yeah, now you guys hopefully understand UI testing. I didn't want to go too far in depth on this because it can be kind of confusing, but I hope in this video it kind of makes sense now, and you can go in deeper if you want to. If you don't, that's great because I'll be making different content now. But hopefully you guys have learned a little bit about UI testing, and if you want to continue, you know the basics of it. Apple has great documentation. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, comments, leave that in a comment below. And I appreciate you guys' support. See you in the next video. Peace.